Welcome to the first ever Azerbaijan Grand Prix here at the Baku City Street Circuit. The first ever Azerbaijan Grand Prix, of course, after last season it was called the European Grand Prix, even though technically Azerbaijan isn't in Europe, so you could call it not the European Grand Prix last season technically. But the circuit itself is the second longest on the GP4 OC calendar behind Spa. It's the fifth of six street circuits to feature on the OC calendar, and Red Bull were the inaugural winners here at the European Grand Prix last year, with Amarkar taking victory. So that was a good result for him, and so far he's had 2 wins this season, so it'll be interesting to see if he could make it 3, as he's currently closed the gap behind to Joseph Willows in the championship. So there'll be 51 laps here around the Baku Street Circuit. The circuit length 6.003 kilometers, 20 corners. The lap record, of course, set by Jamie Mackenzie last season, 139.956. Of course, they've got that long back straight going on to the heading towards turn 1. So there's bound to be lots of slipstreaming and overtaking there. The tyres we'll be using, of course, will be the soft tyres. And the driver day from last time out in Canada was Roberto Gamba for a very impressive performance by McLaren, and also by McLaren themselves. Their first double points finish of the season, I believe, with Gamba finishing 6th and Oliver Glazebrook 8th. But anyway, here's the grid. Will Neller and Miklas Gau first and second. Will Neller, the king of qualifying, once again taking another pole position. Jamie Mackenzie and Florian Volker, row 2 for Mercedes and Ferrari. On row 3 we have Joseph Willows and Ricciardo for Ferrari and Force India. On the 4th row of the grid we have the 2 Francos, Franco Lopez and Franco Gamba. Good qualifying by Franco Gamba, for Toro Rosso especially. Amarkar in 9th position for Red Bull, and Joel Hutter, his best qualifying of the season, I believe, qualifying in 10th position. Julius Anderson 11th for Williams, with George Roque 12th for Haas. It's been an interesting battle between the 2 Haas drivers so far this season. Roque currently edging it in points. Row 7, Thierry Now-Tiernan and Evan Byrne, the 2 Renaults, 13th and 14th. Row 8 is Roland Moitian and Roberto Gamba for Williams and McLaren. But Roberto Gamba started around about there last time out in Canada and got a good result, so we'll see what happens with him. Paolino Tomaselli in 17th, with Etienne Jones 18th for Sauber and Manor. Oliver Glazebrook in 19th position for McLaren, and Felix Sontag 20th for Sauber. And on the last row of the grid we have Michael Motcher for Toro Rosso, and Nicolas Zorberg, of course, making his OC debut for Manor in last position. So it is his first race, so I suppose you've got to take it a bit easy on him. And the weather for this race, it will be a dry race, 0% chance of rain, a little bit of cloud, but it will be dry nonetheless. So let's get on with it. So here we are now on the grid. Neller on pole position, Gal alongside him in second. Gal taking his first win of the season last time out in Canada. Can he make it 2 in a row, or can Neller take his second victory of the season as well? As we have the 5 lights that are now on, and we're off, and we're underway for the first ever Azerbaijan Grand Prix. And Neller makes a good start, heading towards the first corner. Gal's not made a good start at all, and it looks like he's been overtaken by his Mackenzie and by one of the Ferraris, possibly even 2. That's not the start that Gal wanted at all, but he's dropped down to 4th position behind Mackenzie and behind the Ferrari of Volker. So he head through turn 2 as they come through. And now onto the straight, so Mackenzie's already going to be on the back of Neller, heading towards turn 3. He's already trying to overtake him, and Roland Moitian is already out at turn 1. That is not the start that he wanted at all. So let's see what happened on board with him. So he had made a pretty decent start himself. So he's heading towards the first corner. Did he go into anyone? Oh, the Haas went into the Renault right next to him there. And this is on board from Evan Byrne. And did he go into the back of Moitian? And yes, he did, but I think he got hit by someone from behind. I think that's what caused him to go into the car. Look at that. So now Tiernan made a great start for Renault, and as they all concertinaed up, Roque unfortunately went into the back of now Tiernan. Unfortunately, that number 13, it really is the unlucky number. And you can see he manages to get past Roque and gets to the alongside the Williams, and he could have easily gone for the gap down the inside there, but unfortunately was quite cautious. Here is the onboard view from Roberto Gamba as he was heading up towards the first corner, seeing all the cars go slowly. And look at that, Gamba does what probably now Tiernan should have done, and sneaks through up 5 positions into the first corner. A great start by Roberto Gamba. But here we are looking at the battle for the front at the moment. It's Neller leading, Mackenzie second, Volker third, Gal in 4th, Willows in 5th, the top 5, as they head towards the end of the first lap. As they come through, so Mackenzie's going to be right behind Neller, so he's going to be right in the slipstream, and Volker I think will just about be there, but I suppose Mackenzie's being carried by Neller, heading towards the end of the lap. So Mackenzie now all over the back of Neller, and it's just about side by side as we head towards the start finish line. You can see it feels like an eternity, and that's because it is as we look at the two Mercedes side by side heading towards the line. At the moment Nella still leads, Mackenzie's just not got the grunt and it's to stick behind Nella. As we look at a battle between the two Force Indias side by side, Lopez on the inside of Rick Yan and moves up into 6th position, as the Red Bull there of Carr makes it past the Toro Rosso, Franco Gamba there, so good move by Carr. As we look at the rest of the field coming through, so Nella at the moment is still really under pressure. Mackenzie all over his chuff. He's going to the outside, but he's surely not going to make a move on the outside there. Nella covers him off, so Mackenzie goes a little bit wide there. He's going to lose some momentum, so he's going to lose some time. And oh, Nella's locked up though. Nella has locked up, and well, the advantage he did have for about 2 seconds has gone almost immediately. So Nella is already struggling, and Volker is right behind there, hoping the two Mercedes drivers will fall over each other, meaning that he could take the lead of this race. But at the moment Nella still leads, but he's not feeling comfortable with the car, so Mackenzie needs to get past him very quickly, because Volker, Gao and Willers are all still there, and the slipstream at Baku is incredibly powerful, so they're going to be hanging on for at least the next few laps unless Mackenzie can get through, and I can imagine if he does, he'll create a gap to Nella. But as they come through towards the end of the lap, there's not really any overtaking spots until they get to the first corner. As Nella defends to the inside, he's going to compromise his exit out the corner, although Mackenzie might get through here. Will he have the grunt? And the answer is yes, he does. Mackenzie does make it through, and Nella locked up again, so he's really struggling on those tyres, but Mackenzie does make it through up into the lead of this race, and that's important for him. But you can see just he got a better run than Nella out the corner, and I guess Nella probably just let him through. He locks up there, and now Volker is going to gobble him up for breakfast in a minute, as we're looking at Carr, who's on the back of Rick Yan in the Force India. He's now just about getting alongside the Pink Panther, and he's going to surely overtake him into the first corner as Mackenzie the fastest lap over the finish line, and Carr's surely going to make it up into P7. He's alongside, and that should be the move done, and the answer is yes, it is. So there we go, he's up into P7. Good move there by the Red Bull driver. Now as we look at the top 5, they're still very closely compact, and they probably will be for the next few laps, as we look at Zorbach, who's battling with Sontag at the back there. Looked like Zorbach may have passed Sontag, I'm not sure, but Nella's still hanging with Mackenzie at the moment, as Evan Byrne is out of the race, and I don't know what happened to him. I don't know if that was on track, but Roke coming into the pits here, and there's the black hole of Calcutta in front of him, and there's Byrne who's in the pits, and oh, and no wonder Roke couldn't see him with the black hole there in front of him. So Byrne was coming into the pits, of course, after getting involved in the incident on lap 1, and Byrne without a wheel, and now Tyrrell was the one who got into the pits first, and unfortunately for Byrne, that's cost him the race. And I mean, they're getting all the tyres out, crew, but obviously he's retired, so clearly there's too much damage to the car to continue. But what a disastrous start to the race for the Irish. What a disastrous start to the race for Renault as well. Not been well, particularly for now Tyrrell. Unfortunately, he's been very quick now, Tyrrell, but he's had no luck whatsoever. And unfortunately, starting in P13, it was kind of bound to happen, wasn't it? If you think about it. But as we see, it was Mackenzie in the fast lap, then Willows, and then Gao. Now here is the battle for P2. Volker right behind Nella, and Mackenzie has gone into the distance. You could just about see his car going ahead there. Volker can't make it through there, so he needs to just stick in the slipstream. He's got actually a gap to Gal behind him, so Gal has not quite got the pace that Volker has, but he's in the slipstream. Volker, look at that, 350 kilometers an hour. That's at least, I think, about nearly 230 miles an hour on this back straight. As Mackenzie sets the fastest lap of the race. Volker, he's just not got the grunt. The Mercedes power keeps him ahead. As we look at the rest of the order, here is Hutter now trying to overtake Franco Gamba for P9. He's on the inside, and Hutter makes it up into 9th position. And now Anderson could get involved in that battle soon. But it's been a good race so far for Joel Hutter. He's had a pretty encouraging season. His Volker is going to try it once again as Nella. He's never going to do it around the outside. That's not going to work there, Florian. And he doesn't make it stick. It's a little bit wide there. That might allow Gal to catch up, although Gal's not exactly particularly quick. But anyway, here is, we'll just look at the rest of the order. There's Nella still holding off Volker and Peter. Nella must have heavy fuel, because there's the only reason you can see Volker's fuel is quite light. I would imagine Mackenzie's is quite light as well. I'd be surprised if it wasn't. But as we look at them coming through, heading towards the castle section, as we look at, this is Franco Lopez ahead of Amar Carr. Volker once again right behind Mackenzie in the slipstream. I should say Will Nella in the slipstream. And as they're coming up to the front straight, surely Volker's got to get it done now. He's going to be in the slipstream, but he'll reach, I think, the top speed. But surely he needs to get it done right here and now. So he's now going to the inside. Looked like he's heading towards the pits, but he's not. Has he got the grunt? I think the Mercedes power is probably going to keep Nella ahead. And the answer is, does it? Yes, it does. Once again, Volker just can't get past here. So this is going to cost him dearly. And I keep saying that, Nella. But Gal, Joseph Willows and Franco Lopez are all hanging back here to see what happens now. Volker's on the inside. Surely this must be the move done right here. Surely this has got to be it. Is it? And the answer is yes. It is. So Volker's finally got past Nella for P2. I don't know what the gap is to Mackenzie, but it must be at least, I reckon, about 4 or 5 seconds, I would think. But Volker crucially has got through, and now he's going to be under pressure from Gal, Willows, Lopez, and of course Carr, who's now coming into it. So Nella could get swamped here if he's not careful. But as we look at Lopez coming and the rest of the field coming through the castle section, it doesn't seem quite as narrow as it does in real life compared to on the game, that's for sure. But I'm sure we're bound to see. I don't think we've really hardly ever seen any instance at the castle section. I don't believe in any series that have raced here. But anyways, we look at Volker coming through towards the end of the lap. He's already got a decent gap of Nella. I don't know if what's the gap. It is 5 seconds of that, so I was right. It was about 5 seconds, but it'd be interesting if Volker can close it up. But Nella has, as you can see, he's got heavy fuel. So does that mean? I imagine it would be a 2-stop. I don't know. I mean, it is quite short, this race. There's now Tiranen trying past Roke, and there was contact, but they've got away with it. But now Tiranen wanting to get past Roke, so there's wanting maybe a bit of revenge for what happened on the first lap, and also to avenge he's hit both Renaults so far. Roke, he's hit Byrne, he's hit now Tiranen, and obviously now Tiranen wants to get back past him ASAP. I mean, both the races are pretty badly affected anyway. As we look at Volker, who is I don't know what the gap is, but it's still quite a bit. As now Tiranen once again trying it on Roke, heading towards the end of the lap. And Glazebrook is out, and Glazebrook's miserable season continues after getting his first points finish last time out in Canada. His bad luck, unfortunately, continues. It was not a blessing to getting his first points of the season last time out at Canada after what was a pretty good race, coming from last to finish in 8th. But it was a suspension failure that's caused Glazebrook's retirement from this race. So he was running pretty low. He had a fairly heavy fuel load. I mean, I think it'd probably be a 2-stop, that fuel load, and just as he was coming up to the corner there, suspension goes, and that was it. So heading for the escape road. So the gap, Volker to Nella, is about 2.7, so it's definitely going up, that's for sure. Nella, I mean, Gal's just not quite close enough to the back of Nella to get the slipstream at the moment. So the gap to, I think it was about 4 seconds, I think it was. Volker to Mackenzie leading, and there's contact again. And Roke's in the wall, and Roke is out, and that's now Tiranen. He's got his revenge. He's done what he wanted to do, and Roke is out of the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, and now Tiranen, well, his race was over already, and unfortunately that's all he wanted to do, really. So I think his work is complete. So Roke is out, and his season hasn't been very good either. It continues yet to have a clean race. Look at the gap at the front. So the gap has come down slightly. It's down to 4.8 to Mackenzie up front. As we look at now Tiranen and Roke once again. So now Tiranen went to the left, and he went to the right. Sorry, swapped to the left. Here it is again. So he was in the slipstream. So he went to the right, and then he swapped to the left. He dummied Roke pretty well there. And coming through to the corner, I mean, it would have. I mean, he did the right thing, but unfortunately, I don't think the move was really on, as you can see on board. So he went to the right, and then he swapped to the left, and I just don't think the move was on there. I think what he was trying to do was a good idea, but unfortunately executed badly by now Tiranen there. So Roke is out of the race, so that is the 3rd retirement of the Grand Prix. You can see the gap to Volker at about 3.8. Gap is still over 4 seconds, so he is closing down. And Mocho's got an issue. Mocho's got a problem. It's a puncture, but fortunately the pits are just there if he can make it. Although he's going very slowly, but I think the pits is very close. So if he can keep going just long enough, he might actually be able to make it. And yes, he will. So now Tiranen has made it into the pits. Fortunately, as Mocho has made it into the pits. I don't know why I keep getting names confused, but there we go. And Tomaselli, and we've got another retirement. That's the 4th one of the race, and Tomaselli's engine has blown up, just coming off the front straight there. So that's his race over. And there we are. So Tomaselli's race is over, and the car smoking incredibly badly. So that's his race done and dusted. So there we go. I was just seeing the gap to Volker and Mackenzie. It was about 4.5 seconds. So the gap is coming down slightly, but not a lot. Probably about like a tenth every lap, I'd say. So this was Tomaselli, who had just gone past Mocho, funnily enough, who had just slowed down because of his puncture. And then, yep, just as he goes past him, it's almost like it was a curse there going past his broken car. And then just coming across the line, and there we go. Fire comes out of it. So you all know what that means. You all know what that means. But there we are. As we look at Mackenzie, who is now coming in for his first stop. So he was on very light fuel, so only 10 laps. But as I said, let's not forget this race is still pretty short. It's only 51, it being, of course, the second longest circuit after Spa. So no wonder, I guess you could say. But Mackenzie comes in. How much fuel do they put in? That's probably going to be 15. So I'd say, I guess that would be a 2-stop. I think a 3-stop wouldn't be the best idea, I would say. So we'll see what happens. But obviously this will be interesting to see where he comes out, because he's going to come out in a lot of traffic, and that could impact him compared to if he is doing the 3-stop. I can't see him doing the 3-stop. I hope he isn't, because that will affect him severely. Mackenzie comes out in 12th position. He comes up behind the manner of Jones, so I think he would have preferred to have either been a bit further behind him or in front of him to have a bit of clear air, but that's not particularly good for Mackenzie. He needs to get past Jones ASAP, as here is Franco Gamba, who's coming to the pits as well. The good thing is he'll be in clear air. As we look at Volker, who's actually going to be pitting this lap, so Volker did also have lighter fuel. And interesting to see, actually, that Nella, despite being much slower than his teammate and Volker, he's kept the gap to Miklos Gal behind him. So I guess Gal must have similar fuel to him, because Gal's not really. It's down. It's nearly 2 seconds, the gap. So clearly Nella has, I suppose, got himself together after struggling at the start. But he must have similar fuel to Gal. It's 1.5 seconds the gap. 1.3 Willows is behind him, and then Lopez just 1 second behind him. Of course, they're having to cool their engines down, because of course doing constant slipstream on this long straight, it is going to do bad for the engine. It's certainly not going to help it, that's for sure. So the question is, I think, well, Volker will certainly come out, I would imagine, behind Mackenzie, unless he's already being held up by Jones. Well, he probably has caught up to him, but I would imagine Volker will still come out behind him. But it could be an interesting battle, as we see Volker coming in to the pits. So that will mean that Woolnella will take the lead of this race. So they change all 4 tyres, and they put, I think, about the same amount of fuel in as they did with Mackenzie. So Volker comes out. So the question is, where's Mackenzie? I imagine he's probably just coming down the straight right now. As we look at Volker coming out of the pit, it seems like an eternity. It's very slow, seemingly, this pit exit, and there we go. So he comes out, and oh, there's Jones, and there's Mackenzie. So wow, that was actually a lot closer than I thought. So here we go. Now this is the battle that we were waiting for. So coming out behind Jones really did affect Mackenzie, and Volker only just failed to get out in front here. But Mackenzie still hasn't got past Jones, so this is going to be very interesting indeed. And Jones, I don't think, is going to be pitting for a few laps, I would imagine, as we look at them coming on to the front straight, and Volker is in the slipstream, actually, so he's catching him quite quickly towards the end. Could Volker make the move on Mackenzie to the first corner? The answer is yes, he does. So Volker gets past Mackenzie, and Mackenzie is not going to be happy about that. Only if he came out ahead of Jones might that have been differently, and unfortunately he's paid the price for that. Volker just had the pace and the momentum on slightly fresher tyres, and overtakes Mackenzie for 10th position for the final point. But of course it will be much more than that towards the end. So now they're right on the back of the manor of Etienne Jones, as they're coming towards the back straight, or the front straight. I'll call it the back because it's just so long anyway. There's so many straights on this circuit. Anyway, Volker now trying to get past Jones. He's now trying to get alongside. Mackenzie's now still there in the slipstream, so they've got to be careful here. Mackenzie, is he going to get back past Jones? Well, he might get past Volker though. He ain't getting past Jones, but Mackenzie is going to take the position back from Florian Volker. So a great battle here, as Volker almost went into the back of Mackenzie coming towards turn 1 here. So Mackenzie doesn't make it into turn 2, so he's going to have to wait until turn 3. But here we are again. So he had the slipstream, did Volker, on the back of Jones, and he tries to make it through, but he just doesn't have the speed. And then Mackenzie says, thank you very much, I've got the slipstream as well of Jones, but unfortunately just not enough of a gap. Jones not leaving any room there. Well, I suppose, people will say, well, why shouldn't he move over? I was like, well, why not, really? But Mackenzie gets back past, and here we go again. So Mackenzie now right behind Jones. Volker is right there as well. So here we go. And Mackenzie's never going to make it through there. That's going to allow Volker to get the slipstream. And as we look at them coming onto the straight, Volker's going to try and make a move on the inside, but Mackenzie's going to have the slipstream of Jones. And so now Mackenzie's going to try and get past Jones. He's just about getting alongside him, I think. Is he? Nearly. And now Volker's going to get back past Mackenzie, I think, if he's not careful, as they head towards the first corner. And no, Mackenzie does just about stay ahead, but he still can't get, none of these can't get past Jones, neither of these two. This is a great battle here. So it's good. This is good news for, of course, Nella, Gal, and Willows, and I suppose Lopez as well. What do you think about it? Now Mackenzie trying once again to get past Jones as they head towards turn 3, and no, he can't make it stick there. So now they're going to have to wait pretty much until the back straight, because that's the next opportunity they can overtake. There's not really many overtaking spots on this track. Here, turns 1, 2, and 3 are the overtaking spots on this circuit. Here we are looking at Julius Anderson in the Williams, who is overtaking Rick Yan in the Force India. Looking at him coming towards turn 1, so I suppose that's how you do it, really. In a message to Volker and to Mackenzie, who are still stuck behind Jones. They've been stuck behind him, I think, for the last like 3 of at least 5 laps, I think it is. They've been stuck behind him. They just can't get past him. Jones is really proving to be a hard customer. So Mackenzie now all over the back of Jones. Can't make it stick through there for the left-handers. Volker locks up slightly coming through the corner there. So we've got to be careful here, but they're going to be fuming, both these guys. This is going to, as I said, this is going to be good for Nella and for Gal, but also for Lopez. I don't know how far away he is from this, because he made a stop as well a couple of laps ago. That'll be interesting to see where he is on the track. So behind him actually is Nicholas Zorbach in the actually Lopez is behind Zorbach as well, actually, funnily enough. So he's going to have to try and make it through past Zorbach. So they're both struggling with both manners today. Now here we are, Mackenzie trying it once again. He's not going to make it stick through there. Now Volker's to get the slipstream off of Jones. He's going to go past Mackenzie, and would you look at that, it goes past him. And now he's going to try and get past Jones on the inside. And Volker might actually be able to finally get past Jones into the first corner. He's got to do it now. And he makes contact. And he's through. He's made it through past Jones. But now Mackenzie's there as well. And Mackenzie's going to get back past Volker. And they somehow don't make contact. Unbelievable. How has there not been wheels, debris, and stuff all over the track? How? And now Volker has still not got past Jones. Oh my word. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. This is ruining Volker's race. Let's have a look at that again. That was quite critical. I've never seen this before. So Mackenzie tried to get past Jones, and then out of nowhere comes the German, and Volker just comes steaming through with the slipstream, manages to get past Mackenzie, just enough room, and then gets on the inside, or attempts to get on the inside of Jones, heading towards the first corner. He didn't quite have it into the first corner, did Volker, but he made contact right about, where is it? There was the contact, and Volker's like, great, I've made it through. Mackenzie's like, oh no sir, not that easy. And Mackenzie just gets through, and I don't know how they didn't make contact. Just look at that, how Mackenzie didn't make contact with Volker. I was expecting debris, I was expecting car parts everywhere, and somehow no debris anywhere. Nothing happened. And then of course, just to compound Volker's misery, Jones gets back past him again. Oh dear. This is ruining, absolutely ruining his race. And Lopez, who is now on the back of the other manner of Zorbach, and now this is him going past him with absolute ease. And so I don't know what the gap is from Lopez to Volker and Jones, but I imagine it's a few seconds, so Lopez will still have a fair bit to close up, but he's in clear air now. But I think he's been stuck behind Zorbach for a couple of laps as well. Whew, but anyway, so as we're looking at Franco Gamba now trying to get past the Sauber of Felix Sontag, is he going to go around the outside? And yes, he does! Look at that, great move by Franco Gamba, goes around the outside of Felix Sontag going into turn 3 there. It's the first time I think I've ever seen someone go around the outside there. But the Gambas are the main ones making the best moves. Of course, we saw Roberto Gamba making 2 stunning moves around the outside in Montreal, and Franco Gamba now this time making a great move outside himself. So as you see, as I did suspect, Gal does have heavy fuel. And look at this, Lopez has closed up now to the back of Volker, but I don't know where Jones has gone. He must have gone into the pits. And so I did say Lopez would come into it, and now, just as he's finally rid of Jones, as he's finally rid of Jones, Volker, he's now got a Force India to deal with, on fresher tyres as well. And he's like 4 seconds off the back of Mackenzie, so... oh dear, that's it. I think that's really, 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 really affected Volker's race. And as we're looking at Roberto Gamba into the pits, and now Tiernan, just to compound his misery even further, gets a 15-second time penalty for causing the incident with car 99G Roke. So there we are. So that's so I don't see him getting any points today, unfortunately. Now Tiernan, as we look at Roberto Gamba coming into the pits, and he'll be pitting once more. I believe this is his first stop of the race. So as we look at Roberto Gamba coming out of the pits, he's going to come out in, it looks like, I think about 40th position. So Nella finally does come in for his first stop of the race. I would imagine he's doing a 2-stop, I think. I think this would be a bit far to go on a 1-stop, but we'll see. So as we look at Nella coming in, so will he go to the end? The answer is no, he doesn't. So he will be making one more stop before the end. So the team going on the long stint. I mean, was it worth it? I mean, you could say, in a sense, yes, it was worth it. But anyways, the question is, where will he come out? So he's going to come out behind Mackenzie. So would he come out ahead of Volker actually? So I don't know if that would have particularly worked for Nella, and the answer is, I mean, I'd say it hasn't, because he's come up behind both Mackenzie and Volker, who I think he would have been ahead of. As Felix Sonntag, he is out of the race. His car has he had an accident, or has he had a car failure? So he was coming around turn 3, he went a little bit wide there. I think he had a car close behind him as he came through into the corner, and it goes a bit wide and into the wall, and so Sonntag is out of the race there. Not been a great season. Not been the best of seasons for him or for Sauber, to be honest. As we look at Joseph Willers coming in for his first stop of the race, will he go to the end, or will he do the same strategy as Will Nella? The answer is the same strategy as Will Nella he'll do, so he'll make one more stop before the end. So he comes out, so he's I suppose done the overcut, I guess, on Nella. He'll be on slightly fresher tyres, but I would imagine that the Mercedes is the quicker car. As he comes out of the pits, and he's definitely come up behind Nella, and he's come up behind Lopez as well. That's not particularly good. So here is Nella now on the back of Florian Volker. So unfortunately for Volker, this has really backfired on him, this race. It was looking fairly promising until he came up behind Mackenzie. Had he come out ahead of Mackenzie, it would have been different maybe, but I suppose if they'd come out ahead of Jones, really for both, it would have been better, as Nella is just going to absolutely steam through past Volker on the front straight here. And look at that, just so easy, and moves up into 6th position. Although Volker's going to try it on the inside into the first corner, and nope, he's not going to get it back there. Nella on fresher tyres, and he moves up into 6th position. Now he's got the Force India of Rick Jan, who is coming on to the long straight here. He's going to try and make the move, but of course Nella's got to be careful, because Volker is still there and could easily make the move back here. So we could see well, Jones part 2. Here we go. And as we're looking through, so Volker's going to get past Nella. He's going to try and get past the Force India as well, and he's going to try and make it 3 wide down the down the front straight. Look at this, 3 wide, but Volker doesn't make it through, and Nella's on the inside. I think he's got the move done on Jan, and yes, he does. So briefly 3 wide there. So that was some great action. Now Volker might try and make it on the inside of Jan into turn 2, and the answer is no, he doesn't. And actually, he's pitting anyway as Jan. There's a slight lock up, but now Franco Lopez is there as well, but he'll be going a little bit longer. So I'd imagine Volker's probably going to the end, as Volker trying to make it through as Jan really vigorously defends, and he doesn't make it stick there. Volker needs to be careful, because he's going into the pits this lap, so Lopez is going to be going slightly longer. I would imagine that they'll probably go to the end, I think. Volker, if he pits now, I think it would be silly for him to do one more stop, but we'll see what the team decide to do, as we're looking at Armor Carr, who is going to be pitting this lap. Gal, who's still going in front of him, so I guess Carr, who's not that far away from Gal, will be doing the undercut. He's 1.8 seconds off, so this is definitely going to be the undercut for Carr. And Anderson running on his own in 3rd position. I don't know if he's actually made a stop yet. I don't remember seeing it, unless the cameras haven't caught it, but as we look through, and now Volker all over the back of Jan. There's no point in them fighting too hard, because as I said, Volker will be hitting this lap, although Jan gets a bad exit out of there. And will Volker make it through on the inside? No, he doesn't. So Nella running on his own in P4, so this is good for him, with these guys battling behind. As Julius Anderson running in 3rd. He'll now be temporarily 2nd, Julius Anderson. He'll be getting a heart attack running this high, as Carr makes his stop, and he will be going to the end. So this will be interesting. So he's going to the end, whereas a lot of drivers behind him are not. So I wonder here, because Gal is surely going to go to the end as well. I think Red Bull might have done some big brain time here, because they're going to the end. Well, Car is, and Gal surely will be as well. And everyone else has got a pit. And Car has come out in P4. The only car in front of him that's got a pit will be Will Nella. So, well, that's going to be close to him, that is. So the moment for Car is looking pretty good for him at the moment, because Nella's got a pit anyway, and he's got a while until he does. So this is going to be very interesting. I think Red Bull might have done the best strategy here, as Volker obviously has come into the pits, and I think he has gone to the end, and yes, he has. As we look at him coming out of the pits, and yep, that is enough fuel to go to the end. Joel Hutter's in as well for Haas. Not seen much of him in this race, although we've been focusing on a number of battles throughout the field. As one of the Force Indias I saw is coming into the pits as well. I couldn't quite see which one it was. Julius Anderson is going to come into the pits this lap as well, so that's actually worked out pretty well for Car. And I mean, he's got Nella in front of him. What's the gap? So 14 plus 11, that's 25, 26. So it's going to be touch and go at the moment if he does come out ahead of Gal or not. But Gal, I think, is still going for another lap or so. But we could see an interesting battle there between the two Red Bulls towards the end of the race. As here is Willows trying to get past the Force Indias, although one of them will be pitting. I believe it's Rick Yan that's going to be pitting. Actually, unless it's Franco Lopez, because he was low on fuel, so it might be him actually. As the two Force Indias battling here, it nearly goes. I always think they're going to go into the wall there. It's quite dodgy position to go in. Willows in the slipstream onto the straight, as Julius Anderson, you can see, is in the pits. And which one is it going to be, the first one or the second one that goes in? It's the first one that goes in. And Willows is going to get past the other Force India as well. And it was Rick Yan that has gone into the pits. I was right. Willows on the inside and is going to take fourth position. Lopez will be pitting in a few laps as well. So as we look at Car running in P3 at the moment, Gal is still not pitting this lap, I don't believe. Car's a few seconds off Nella at the moment, so he's got fresher tyres. So it's going to be interesting indeed. So now Lopez try to get back past Willows. He's going to try and absolutely launch it into the corner. Ooh, that was close. Nearly contact, but fortunately they get away with it. As Rick Yan, comes out in 11th position. Oh, will he come up behind Jones? That's not going to come up behind Jones. Not good at all. Now here is Volker on the back of the McLaren of Roberto Gamba, heading towards the start-finish straight. We're halfway through the race now, and this race has been pretty exciting. I have to say, it's definitely been one of the best Grand Prix of the season, I would say, in terms of outright action, as Volker is going to easily pass Roberto Gamba in towards the first corner, and he makes it stick very easily. There we go, up into 9th position, as Michael Mocho's in for his last stop of the race as well for Toro Rosso. Zorbach running in 13th, having a fairly solid race. He's not got involved in anything, so that's good for him. Gal is going to be pitting this lap. The gap is 23 seconds, so he's going to come up behind Nella, and I don't think Car's that far behind him either. What's the gap? 2 seconds. So I think Car is going to come out ahead here. So I think Car may have done the undercut on Gal, because the gap, as I said, was 26 a couple of laps ago, and now it's down to 23, because Nella obviously pitted not that long ago. So, but of course, crucially, Nella will have to pit again. So it looks like it's going to be a battle between the two Red Bulls for the win here. But here it's Gal into the pits, so I'm pretty sure he'll come up behind Car. But the crucial thing is he'll have 3 laps of fresher tyres, and he'll also have much fresher tyres than Nella will have. So as he comes into the pits, there we go, changes all 4 tyres, goes to the end. As expected, he'll have lighter fuel as well, might add, 5.7. So where are the front runners? So there is Nella just coming across the line now. So he's going to come up behind Nella, and I think Car as well. It's going to be pretty close. And Car has got past Gal, so there we go. Car takes the unofficial lead of the race, but it's certainly not over yet, because Gal is going to have fresher tyres and lighter fuels. We've got a yellow flag out. No, just after I was singing his praises, Nicholas Zorbach is out of the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Oh dear, oh dear. That's Franco Lopez is coming into his final stop as well. So what happened? He was running in 12th. He was going to the end actually. So, and as we're looking through, and oh, he did exactly what Sontag did. Just locked up and went a little bit wide and went into the wall. It's a curse for the Germans, it seems, today. But Zorbach goes a little bit wide. They're locked up and unfortunately couldn't avoid the wall. And that is Zorbach's day finished on his debut. It's not been a bad debut though. I mean, there's been worse. So that's unlucky for him. As we're looking now, this is the two Toro Rossos. This is Franco Gamba and Mocho. They're getting very close, coming onto the back straight there. I thought there was going to be contact. This is Mocho trying to get past the Toro Rosso of Franco Gamba, because Mocho unfortunately is going to have to pit once more before the end. So I don't see him getting any points from this race. And Gamba is overtaken by Mocho into turn 1 there. They've got the Toro Rosso, the Toro Rosso, they've got the Haas there of Joel Hutton not too far in front. Nella at the moment obviously leads, but he's got a few laps before he pits. So, and oh, look at the gap, it's now less than a second, so Carr has now officially caught up to the back of Nella. So I guess the thing that Gal hopes for now is that Nella holds up Carr so that he can catch up, that is Gal, as Franco Gamba is all over the place at the moment. Probably angry at the team at the fact why his car's so slow, but he's already dropping a lot of time to the back of Mocho. So unfortunately for Franco Gamba, what looked like a good race, or unfortunately he's not turning as well as he'd hoped. He's got a big gap to now Tyrrell, so he's not going to be last at this moment in time. Nello, of course, there is Gal actually. He's already caught up to the back of Carr here, so Carr could be a sitting duck here if he's not careful. We need to get past Nella very quickly, because Nella's not pitting for at least the next, I'd say 4 or 5 laps. As we look at Jan, who steamrolls past the McLaren of Roberto Gamba on the front straight, as now Lopez is going to be there as well, as Rick Jan is past Roberto Gamba into the first corner. Now Lopez is going to be there as well. Roberto Gamba obviously is going to be pitting once more before the end. So as we're looking at Nella, still leading this race, but of course he has to pit once more before the end. And Red Bull, it's looking pretty good for them, because everyone around them has had to pit, as Lopez also goes easily past the McLaren Honda. And you can, yeah, and there we go. Honda engine unfortunately not very powerful, and Gamba just going to have to stick behind him because he has one more stop left, Roberto Gamba. Could still get some points though, so it might not be all bad, as Roberto Gamba sticks behind the Force India, but he's going to lose actually. Look at the speed the Force India got off the corner on fresher tyres, and he's left him for dead. At the moment Jones still in 11th position, and Volker's out! And oh, Florian Volker is out of the race, and unfortunately ever since that battle with Jones it's all unravelled for him. And it was a puncher that caused his retirement. He was running in 7th, and he was running way off Julius Anderson. And oh, that's very unfortunate for Volker. It was looking promising for him at the start, but ever since that battle with Jones, he never really came on top of it, and unfortunately that's his race over. So, oh dear. Not good for Ferrari in the constructor standings. So as he pulls his car off there to the side. And there we go, another retirement. That is the 7th retirement of the race, I believe, with Volker retiring. And now here's the battle for the lead, of course. Carr all over the back of Nella, and Gal is there as well, as Roberto Gamba has finally come into the pits once more for his final stop of the race. So at the moment Carr needs to get past Nella ASAP, because Gal is just there in the background. He's just waiting for something to happen. And there we go, as we look at them coming through left hand of their carts, just in the slipstream. He's got to get it done now. Gal is just looming in the background, waiting for something to happen, because he knows he's got the fresher tyres here. So as we look at Carr in the slipstream of the Mercedes, he's all over the back of him. He's going to try and make the move surely on the front straight here. He's now going to the inside of the Mercedes. Has he got the grunt in towards turn 1? I'm not sure. It's side by side. Will he have the grunt? I'm not sure. Don't know. I'm not convinced at the moment. And the answer is no, he doesn't. Still unable to make it through there. And as I said, Gal is just there. He's the shark waiting to get it. And so Nello, of course, he's still not pitting yet. I don't think he's going to pit this. He's not pitting this lap either. It's going to be next lap or the lap after, I would think. Because I don't know where he's going to come out, Nello, at the moment. Because, I mean, if he wants to get the win, I'm not sure he's going to get it, because he hasn't got that many laps to do it when he pits. Whenever he does. And so Nella, is he going to come into the pits this lap? The answer is no, he doesn't. So Carl, once again, he's going to have to try and get past Nella on tracks. We've got another yellow flag out on the circuit. That is about, I think, turn 3 or turn 2. And oh! And Mocho is out. And Michael Mocho is out of this race. And he was in a battle with the manner of Etienne Jones. He tried to go around the outside of him into turn 3. And oh, you can see he almost had done it, but Jones fought back, and that caught Mocho out by surprise, and now he is out of the race. So that's not good for the Toro Rosso there. His race is done. And oh, look at that behind. Oh, that's a double whammy for Toro Rosso. Franco Gamba has just hit the wheel from Mocho's car, and he's going to have to go into the pits. So it's all gone pear-shaped for Toro Rosso there, as Joseph Willis has come in for his final stop of the race. Mackenzie right now running in P4. He is the pit. So, and I don't think, and I think Anderson had 13 laps of fuel. So I think Anderson actually is going to have P4 here. So Anderson doesn't have to pit again. So Anderson could be on for his best finish of the season here. He's not had a top 5 this season, best finish being 7th, so this could be great for Julius Anderson, who's not had a great season compared to his teammate Moitin. I think, well, Moitin's season has been alright, as now here's the battle for the lead once again. Gal now is as close to Carr as he's ever been before, but of course Carr's going to have to slipstream off Nella. He must be pitting this lap or next lap. I don't see him going much longer, as Nella defends to the inside. Gal is there, he's just waiting, he's biding his time, as Etienne Jones has come into the pits for his final stop of the race as well. Nella really holding up, and it's this lap in fact, and Gal is there. Gal really is there now. Now this is the time for Gal to make the move. He's got it, well, he's close enough in the slipstream, and Nella's going to dive off the pit, so that will affect his speed, because Carr is trying to go to the inside, but he doesn't realise that he needs to pit Nella, and he's going to go into the pits. But Gal, I don't think he's quite close enough. He is gaining, but he's not close enough. I thought he was closer than he looked, but he's not, so he's not able to make it through into turn 1 there. But Gal is now in the slipstream of Carr, so now he really is closer to him than he ever has been. So here we go. So Nella pits for the final time. He drops all the way down to P5, so he's dropped actually a lot further off than I thought actually. So he, as we look at the Toro Rosso coming out, so Anderson is in legit 4th at the moment, but Nella will probably be closing him down towards the end. And I think Mackenzie in front, of course, will be pitting. So actually, I just realised, actually, if Mackenzie has to pit again, Anderson is on the podium at the moment. But we'll see if he can hold off Nella when he closes up to him, because Anderson has been on the sides for quite a long time with the two Force Indias battling. Rick, Jan and Lopez. Oh! And there's contact between the two, and they get away without any damage. Lopez ahead of Jan there for P7. So that was very, very close indeed. That could have gone terribly wrong, but of course behind them is now Tyrrell, even though he's a lap down, he's on fresh tyres, so he might try and unlap himself here, which I don't think is going to please. As he's going to try and make it. Nope, he nearly collects the end of him there. Fortunately doesn't. But at the moment, Gal there behind Carr is not quite close enough to be in the slipstream at this moment in time. Just not close enough. He needs to be a little bit closer, and because I mean, yeah, he's not in it right now. As he comes through the two corners, and now onto the straight, heading through turn 20. Yes, turn 20, and he's not close enough at the moment. Gal, he's just needs to get it done now, because I mean he should get it done because he's got fresher tyres. And oh, Jan is out, and that's the castle section. And could we have seen an accident there for the first time this race? And Jan is out. Let's have a look at what happened. And yes, he's clipped the wall. He has clipped the wall. He has become the wall. And you can see he goes just a little bit too wide there and collects the end of it right in front of now Tyrrell as well, who was following him. So there was no contact, of course, from behind. And you can see he just goes over the curve, goes a little bit too wide, and there we go, clips the wall just like that. And now Tyrrell, of course, has to be careful that he doesn't hit the car. He's already in last anyway, so he doesn't want to have to pit again. So Mackenzie now pits. So look at that, Julius Anderson is on for the podium right now. He is in a legit 3rd position. That's quite unbelievable. We just didn't see it coming, really. We've got a yellow flag out. Oh, and that might be P3 secured for Nella now. For Nella now. Well, it won't be P3 secured for Nella now. It'll be P3 for Anderson now, because Nella has crashed out at turn 1. So how has that happened? We've not seen. We've seen close encounters there. So let's see. Nella just, oh, he goes way too wide, and boom, hits the wall. And oh dear me, there we go. That's his race done and dusted on that corner there. So Anderson is on for P3 now. Mackenzie will close up, but I'm not sure. I don't know what the gap is. Well, Willows is 17 seconds behind, and Mackenzie I think is a little bit further behind than that. So I don't know. It's going to be a tough ask at this moment in time, because Mackenzie will have to get past Willows as well, who of course is going to the end. So just 9 laps to go here of the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. At the moment, Car has got the edge over Gal right now, and as we look at them coming through turn 2, Gal's just not quite close enough. He's been there or thereabouts, and the opportunity to get him, I think, was when Nella was pitting, and he's not taken that. And at the moment, despite him having fresher tyres and lighter fuel, he doesn't seem to have the pace that Car does, because Car is just managing it by about a second, and that's what it has pretty much been like since the stop. As we look at them coming through the car section, it's now down. It's just 6/10 now. Gal's definitely closer than he has been for the last couple of laps or so, but he just needs to be a tiny bit closer so he can keep in the slipstream and try and get him on the back straight. That's when he needs to get him on the back straight. That's pretty much his main opportunity, really. As we look at Anderson running on his own in 3rd position, Gal, he's definitely close there, but 2 laps later, still about the same gap. Just can't edge it, just can't find that bit that he needs at this moment in time. As we're looking at Willows running in P4, Mackenzie is not that far behind him, so there could be a battle on for P4 towards the end of this race. Roberto Gamma running in 7th position. Etienne Jones, of course, having a fairly good race as well. He had the great battle with, of course, Volker and Mackenzie, and he's looking up there. He's struggling a bit, is Jones. He's running in the points for Manor, which is what they need at this moment in time. He fortunately didn't get the lock-up going into the castle section, because that could have been terrible. As we're looking at now, Tyrrell now running in 11th position. And, he's got a failure, and now Tyrrell, unfortunately, his terrible season continues. I mean, it's not terrible, but his terrible luck continues, that's what it is. So he is out of the race. He's running 11th, and he was actually last. So we've now only got 10 cars left on track at this moment in time. And, we've just seen Mackenzie go past Willows, and there we go, and Willows is out, and Willows' engine is blown, and wow, implications for the championship here. Willows' engine has blown up with just 5 laps to go, and would he be classified? I believe he will, because there's only 5 laps left, but of course, let's not forget, this is a long circuit, so, oh my word, so Joseph Willows is out. That could have big implications for the championship. That's great news for Car. And I wonder if he could take the lead of the championship here. I think it was pretty close after the last run in Montreal, so after Willows crashed out. So I think Car might take the lead of the championship now, with Willows out. And so, now, there'll be team orders now at Red Bull. Multi-map 69-14, stay behind. I would imagine they're telling Gal right now. The gap is only 7/10, but that's what it's pretty much been about. That's the average gap that it's been. Ever since the stop, really. So as we look at Willows, so that is huge for the championship, my word. So you can see as he came on to the front straight, that's when the engine blew, and Mackenzie was not that far behind him, but Mackenzie will take P4, and I don't think he'll get to Anderson towards the end. I think the gap is just a little bit too big. He'll close up pretty quickly because he's on fresher tyres, but he's not going to overtake him, I don't believe, but you never know what is going to happen. But Mackenzie, you see, goes past Willows, who retires from this race. I think he will still be classified. So there we are. But whew, so that means there's now only 9 cars left on track. So it really has been a race of attrition here in Azerbaijan. So here we are now on the final lap. Now this is Franco Gambo, who's on the back of the Williams. This is of Julius Anderson, and he's obviously got fresher tyres, because Anderson has been on those tyres for at least the last 20 laps or so. So, and look at the gap, actually, it's only 3 seconds, actually, to Mackenzie. So, this is not what Anderson needs. Gamma all over the back of him, so he needs Gamma to stay away from him, because Anderson's on for the podium. Mackenzie's not that far away, and he's definitely very quick. And the gap, once again, between Car and Gal has, if anything, probably gone up slightly. But I suppose that would need to be. But Car is going to take, it looks like, what is going to be his 3rd victory of the season. It's going to be a Red Bull 1-2, so overall it was a good day. Their strategy worked absolutely brilliantly. Gal didn't go off to the didn't start off very well for him. Got a bad start up to 4th, but managed to stay around Nella. And of course, well, the one stop for Red Bull clearly worked, and that was the way to go. So they would have won. They would have got 1-2 anyway, even if Nella and Willows and all that hadn't retired. So their strategy worked out very, very well. And it's going to look even better for Omar Kar, who's going to take his 3rd victory of the season, and I believe also the championship lead. And for Gal as well, it could have been 2 in a row, but he'll happily take 2nd place after winning last time out in Canada. Whereas Omar Kar has got the man in front of him, comes round the final couple of corners, now through past turn 20, and Amakar is going to win the first ever Azerbaijan Grand Prix, and he is set to take the lead in the championship. Amakar wins the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. So there we go. What a race that was. Amakar winning ahead of English Gowan second, and Julius Anderson is set to take third, but look at how close Mackenzie is in the background there. Gamma's been all over the back of Anderson for this last lap, but Anderson is going to get to the line. Mackenzie's not going to be able to get the position, and Julius Anderson is going to take third position for Williams. Fantastic result for Anderson. He absolutely deserves that. He needed that, but he also really deserved it. He drove a fantastic race today. So wow, he must have been absolutely sweating with Gamba all over it. If there was another lap or so, then Mackenzie would have had him for sure, because Julius Anderson had been on those tyres for at least 20 laps, whereas Mackenzie had only been on his for like 10 or so. As we look at Franco Lopez, who's set to come across the line in a very lonely P5, because let's not forget, only 9 cars have finished on track, although 10 I believe will be classified, but we'll find out in the full results afterwards. So Lopez comes across the line. P5, Roberto Gamma will take P6 once again. So 2 races in a row, Roberto Gamma has scored some points for McLaren. Another good result for him, and he's proving why he deserves to have that McLaren seat, to perform very well in these last 2 races. So well done to Roberto Gamma as he comes eventually across the line. Oh, that straight is just unbelievably long, and there we go. Finishes P6. Etienne Jones, a great result for Manor, and they will get some more points on the board, and he'll take 7th position. So well done to him. And there we are, race over. So that was quick. Only 9 cars finishing on the circuit. So we'll now take a look at the full race results. So Amakar winning ahead of Miguel Scal 2nd, Anderson 3rd, Mackenzie 4th, Lopez 5th, Roberto Gamma 6th, Etienne Jones 7th, Joel Hutter 8th, Franco Gamma 9th, and Willows was classified, so I think one more lap and he wouldn't have been, so he will take 1 point, so that point could be crucial towards the end of the season. Mackenzie setting the fastest lap, a 1:37.1, with the following drivers all retiring from this race. Now Tiranen, Nella, Jan, Mocho, Volker, Zorbach, Sontag, Tomaselli, Roke, Glazebrook, Byrne, and Moychid all retiring. Just 9 cars finishing this race, and usually usually there's been at least around probably an average of 14-15 finishing, but there we are. So now take a look at the Drivers' Championship, and you can see Amakar does take the lead off of Joseph Willis in the championship. So had he finished 2nd car, he wouldn't have taken the lead, so that was important for him. So Carl leads ahead of Willis in 2nd, Volker 3rd, Miguel Gow now up to 4th ahead of Nella, Mackenzie in 5th, Franco Lopez up to 7th, Riccian 8th, Mocho 9th, Ronan Moyton 10th, and look at that, Julius Anderson moving all the way up to 11th with that podium position. Franco Gabba in 12th, Red Gabba 13th, now Turin 14th, Byrne 15th, Hutter 16th, Roke in 17th, Jones 18th, Tomaselli, Glazebrook, Pascali, and Felix Sontag completing the standings. Well, of course, I should say completing the standings. Of course, we've got Nicholas Zorbach in 23rd, because he's last, of course, having not finished this race, but there's still plenty of races for him to get some points and some good finishes. Now we'll take a look at the constructors' standings. Red Bull do lead, actually. Ferrari, I didn't realise how close it was there either, but based on the fact that they've got more wins than Ferrari have. Mercedes in 3rd, Force India 4th, Williams in 5th, moving ahead of Toro Rosso into 5th position, Toro Rosso down to 6th, Renault 7th, Haas 8th, McLaren 9th, Manor moving ahead of Sauber in 10th position, and Sauber of course down to last. So there we are, that was the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, the first ever Azerbaijan Grand Prix, and what a race it was. Absolutely unbelievable. Hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to, as usual, vote for your driver of the day, give the race a rating out of 10, and we'll see you for the next round, the Austrian Grand Prix at the Red Bull Ring. Thanks for watching, everyone, and we'll see you there.